this computer. There we go. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's 12 o'clock. It is a beautiful sunny day, Wednesday, the 12th of August. And I am so thrilled and so excited to be introducing another one of our chapter contributors. And this is the beautiful Yavi Madurai. So Yavi and I met a while back already, and our relationship has now developed over the months. And Yavi has very kindly and very graciously given of her time to write her chapter. So The Forgotten Woman, the South African story, if I can just give you a little bit of background for those who may not know, it all started in May this year. I got this idea from someone who had done it, and it was really just as a form of fundraising in order to be able to help women who have been affected by COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown, obviously, that has caused a lot of distress, especially women in business. Women are losing their jobs. So, you know, with all the chaos that is going on. So I had invited a number of ladies to join me in this project, and Yavi is one of these wonderful ladies that was so kind to share her story. And I must just tell you that I'm so thrilled to get the feedback from ladies that have already read the book and are giving us the most wonderful reviews of how inspiring, how incredibly encouraging these stories are. So Yavi, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me today. I know that you run a hectic schedule as well, but I guess, you know, you obviously have considered this to be something that you wanted to be involved in. And we would like to get to know you, Yavi, because, you know, the story that you're telling is obviously something that is near and dear to you, and you're opening up your world to us. And, you know, so we want to get to know the lady that actually sits behind the name Yavi. So Yavi, please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, what did you want to be when you grew up, and have you actually accomplished everything that you set out to do? So where are you in your life at this moment in time?
Thank you, Charlotte, and thank you. I think the gratitude is very much in your direction, around, first of all, for putting a book like this together. I think in times of, or current times, when we're dealing with so much, to be able to pull together women who've got stories that can uplift and inspire, you know, it's just an amazing project that I'm sure is close to your heart, but also close to all of our hearts. So this was never a consideration. I would have jumped at the chance and found the time, you know, just to be able to be a part of it. So I'm very privileged and I'm very honored. Thank you so much for including me. So I am a bit of a strange kind of combination of things. I was born in Port Elizabeth, and then moved to Durban somewhere along the lines. I think all Indians are from Durban, as they say. So we had to move to Durban, or we moved to Durban. And then I moved to Johannesburg about 40, 50 years ago already now. And this is home. This is where, you know, I feel the gold in my blood, shall we say, and the adrenaline that pumps. I think, to answer your question around have I accomplished, so very strangely enough, I wanted to be a physiotherapist when I started out my career, and that's so strange now when you look at, you know, the actual life that I've been on. I went into an anatomy class and fainted at the sight of blood. So that put paid to my dreams of becoming a physiotherapist, and found my calling. I started working at the bank because I didn't know. My mom worked at the bank. I didn't know what was going to be my future, and she said to me, "Look, you know, my parents are both teachers, so education was optimum." And they said to me, look, just calm yourself down. It doesn't mean that your life is over. Um, take a year off, so to speak, and go and work, and then decide what it is that you want to be able to do. So that's what I did. I toddled off and started in banking. And banking laid the foundation because I was on a leadership program very early on, and somebody showed me marketing and business and that kind of stuff. And to be very honest with you, I always describe this as though they switched the lights on in my head. It's like I couldn't believe people got paid to do this. So the interesting thing is that the journey that has been, now all these years later, because now I'm an old lady, um, has been one that wasn't necessarily planned. And also, just in terms of where I am at, digital transformation, the technology industry, strategy, and that kind of stuff, that wasn't also planned. So it's amazing how your career and your life takes on various paths when you allow the universe to let you explore, shall we say.
You're so right, because you have a destination in mind, but whilst you're on that journey towards that destination, there's quite a few crossroads that one would get to, and then you have to make a decision: are you going left or right, or are you staying on the same path that you were on? And tell me, Yavi, do you have a family? Are you married? Do you have children? Tell us a little bit about your family life.
Yes, I do. I'm very fortunate. I think I've been married to my best friend. Um, Drives me nuts. We always say that we were born to annoy each other, so we have lots of fun together. I'm married to Ashton now for 23, going on 24 years. So I've been married for longer than half of my life. Um, and I always say that he is my world because everything revolves around him. However, 10 years into marriage, we had what we call our little miracle. She doesn't know she's a miracle because she's the proverbial teen. But yeah, we had, and we can obviously talk about, a little bit of detail around the chapter and the book. So I'll save it for then. But yeah, so I've got a 12 going on 42-year-old that has got my sense of, she looks exactly like her dad, but is entirely, in terms of DNA, her mother's child. So we do feel sorry for my husband every now and again that he has to live in a house with the two of us. But yes, and as much as Ashton is my world, Tanith is my everything. She's got, my reason for being, my reason for everything is her. We won't tell her that though, because the ego will get bigger.
Yeah, it's Yavi, as a woman, you are playing several roles now. So you've already said that you're a wife, you're a mother, you're clearly a very successful businesswoman. I'm assuming that you are running your own business, so you're an entrepreneur. Is that not just so typical of us women, that we are so multifaceted? And that's really what makes a woman so unique. Do you not do you not think that women are just in that respect such incredible human beings, that they're able to have all of these roles, and yet they do them so successfully? So how do you manage to keep all of these balls in the air?
So I think I come from a very matriarchal family. And my grandmother, I always say that she was a maniacal CEO that was born at the wrong time, because she was born into a world of obviously patriarchy, and as much as we experience patriarchy and misogyny in the current times, it's nowhere near what it was, many years ago. So she was born at the wrong time, but was extremely, I was sitting, I tell the story of how I was sitting in an MBA class, and I sat back and I listened to this professor that was obviously, learned, and he was an amazing professor. I loved him. He was my favorite professor. And you know, many qualifications later, you know, revered to the world. And here's he teaching us a lesson that my grandmother taught me when I was 3 years old. And it was a simple lesson of when you point a finger at you know, when you point one finger outwards, there's three fingers pointing back at you, and those three fingers stand for accountability and responsibility. And we were talking about it from a leadership perspective in terms of, you know, in the MBA class. And there's a woman who was, you know, married off at 16. In terms of the traditional Indian way back then, you know, you don't actually meet your husband until the day that you married, arranged marriages. 16 years old, pulled out of, you know, school, um, to do what she did. She went on to be able to. She divorced and caused much scandal in the community. Very wealthy and you know, influential family that my grandfather's family is. And but just the lessons and the values that she taught. Um, I don't feel so. My entire family, you know, throws balls in the air and we catch them, just because that's the way it's supposed to be. So from your perspective, when you say women are like that, you know, they talk about women being multi-skilled and we're good multitaskers, but that's from a male perspective, because that's just who we are. Women are already strong. We don't need to become strong. We don't need our strength to be pointed out to us. We already know how to, you know, manage things in different ways. We give birth, for God's sake. We carry a child. There's all these different, we have a period every month. You know, these are the kind of things that women are not necessarily celebrated for and seen for that kind of strength. It took for my daughter, who's very vocal, and she's got quite a, you know, quite an opinion about misogyny and patriarchy at 12. And she said to me the other day, we were having a discussion about the fact that New Zealand has not had a COVID case in the last 100 days. And we were having a discussion around why, you know, why. And she pointed out, obviously, like everyone is talking about, that it's got a female president. And I was like, yes, I understand that, but why? You know, so wonderful that it's a female president, but why do you think that that matters in this particular case? And she spoke about it from the perspective of, you know, she said to me, but mom, women are nurturing by nature, number one. Number two, women, when there's a crisis, women don't worry about things like ego. We just get in and get our hands dirty. So I don't think that she's looking at it, you know, in terms of any other way except saving her people and making sure that her people are safe and well and healthy. So, you know, it's all of those kind of things that we talk about as women. We take so much for granted in terms of us being able to catch balls. Sometimes balls that we don't even throw up in the air that we've got to catch. So this is, you know, it's so amazing to be part of your book, Charlotte, in terms of the some of the other stories and some of the other inspirational women that walk amongst us, ordinary women that have extraordinary stories that walk amongst us that don't even know, you know, when you say things like inspirational and you describe all of us, you know, that sense of, oh no, is she talking about me? Like, why would she be talking about me like that? It's just life. So from a woman perspective, you know, it's just we get on with it. And I'm gonna shut up now in 2 seconds because you've got me going now. But the thing about it is also is that you know that my life, my career is digital transformation, and part of digital transformation or the fourth industrial revolution is looking at why and how and what the skills of the future are going to be. And I like to call it not the fourth industrial revolution, but a woman revolution. Because the things that you are going to see that emerge from the fourth industrial revolution or from a digital transformed world is that women finally will be able to have the ability to step forward using technology to be able to run businesses from home. You know, housewives, a traditional African culture or rural culture where you're not allowed to go to work, all of a sudden you're able to have an Instagram store and sell, you know, things that you wouldn't be able to do and get in a car or go to an office every day. So this is our time. it's a woman's time. We're living in a feminist time. The time for that male, that very masculine, patriarchal time. You can actually see it. I don't know if you can feel it, but you can actually see it, that the world, that reset button that they're talking about, is heading towards a more nurturing environment, a more, a more empathetic environment where the harsh masculinity is not going to be the solution. So when we say, it's time for women now, it's going to really be our time to step forward. Let's hope that we step forward with, unity. We hold each other's hands. We don't stab each other in the back, all of those kind of things, and that we do it with elegance and grace and gratitude. So I'm obviously one of those women that, if there's a woman, I will support. We'll worry about the other things later. If there's a woman, I'm there to support first and foremost. My mom never gave me a sister. So unfortunately, all of you become my sisters, whether you like it or not.
So it's a true sisterhood.
It truly is. It truly, truly is.
Now, you are also the founder of an organization, and obviously that sits very, very, it sits with you in terms of what you are saying now. If there's a woman, I will support her. Just tell us a little bit about the organization and, obviously, why did you start this organization? What was the incident that made you decide, now's the time, I'm going to start this organization?
So it's called the Pan-African Business Women's Association. It is focused on economic rights and economic justice for women from an African perspective, so across the African continent. So all of us, you and me, whoever comes from Africa, and it's specifically around being able to. So earlier this year, the catalyzed moment. So I've been in business a couple of years. One of the things that I found out, and whether it is South Africa, which can be very difficult, but just in doing business in Africa is quite a puzzle. It's quite a complex thing to be able to do business in Africa. You have to understand all the nuances and those kind of things. It's very cliquey, traditional and cultural, those kind of nuances that I was talking about. All of that plays into it. But to cut a long story short, I've looked at it from, I'm a woman in business. I operate from a very particular, so I'm a minority. I'm a minority in South Africa, being of Indian origin, but I'm South African. Then I'm a minority because I am in the technology industry, which is very male dominated. And then I'm, the minorities just keep on adding up. And I was at a point where I was frustrated with the procurement systems of a company. And this was the last straw that broke the camel's back, because there was a couple of incidences that have happened over the past few years. And the procurement process is the procurement policies and regulations in South Africa are very clear about there having to be a 30% women-owned, Black women-owned, which I form a part of, et cetera, and the list goes on. And here we constantly find ourselves in a space where we have to do that much more. We are not, if we walk in with a male, then it's fine. All these other nuances that play out in meetings, if you look a certain way, you obviously can't have a brain. If you can do this, you can't do that. All of these kind of things. I found myself doing things like dressing down or not wearing makeup, and I just asked myself, why? Why do we have to do all of this? And there was no one that I could turn to, Charlotte. There was no one that was big enough as an organization to be able to say, yes, we are going to take this, or somebody that's already doing it that I can jump on or leverage and say, how do we now start to, all these small businesses, all these medium-sized enterprises, all these professional women that are freelancing, where do they go to? What do they do when they are in need of support, information? And that list also goes on. So I got asked the question when we started the Pan-African Business Women's Association, which was launched on the 3rd of February, so we count that as our first day. And it was a case of, did we really need another women's organization? And my answer is yes and no. No, we didn't need another women's organization. We absolutely didn't. But did we need a women's organization that was going to specifically focus on the economic agenda of Africa, unpack it, take it apart, and also the fact that the African Continental Free Trade Area, the agreement was coming into effect this year. And if you've read the document, and most people don't like reading the document, but I'm one of those horrible, strange people that love reading policy documents, it is a gender-blind document. Gender blind. So fast forward, 3rd of February, we launched the Pan-African Business Women's Association. 2 weeks later, we get on a plane and we go to the 33rd Assembly of African Union Heads of State. And as you would know, President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa takes the chair of the AU. And he stands up and he says that the decision has been made by the AU that the 2020 to 2030 decade will be the decade of African women's economic and financial inclusion. I could have got up and danced because, that's obviously what we had launched 2 weeks earlier. So now comes the question around, you've created a decade. It's policy, it's been put into, official documents. We've got this whole thing going. We're going to contribute, the African Union or the Africa will contribute to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, in terms of SDG number 5, which is women. And now what? Because we also had an African Women's Decade that ended in 2020 from 2010, and there was almost nothing achieved. So I re-looked at our business model, that was 2 weeks old, and I said, right, fine, instead of starting it from the very beginning, we are now going to take that declaration and we're going to own it. And we are going to say and hold the African Union, the different countries across Africa, the 55 heads of state, the 55 governments, the AFCFTA, we are going to hold them accountable in terms of ensuring that the economic agenda of Africa is not gender blind. So that is Pabwa in short. We have been we celebrated 6 months, 6 months old. So we're a baby compared to a women's organization as wonderful and as great as yours. But yeah, that is the agenda. I do believe that the fall of patriarchy from a business perspective, now I'm speaking about specifically, I do believe that it's almost coming to a time where that is going to happen. And when I say the fall of patriarchy, I've got nothing against males. Please, that must come across very strongly. It's about the patriarchal thinking. And sometimes the perpetrators of patriarchy are actually women. The boys' clubs. The boys' clubs value boys' clubs and, cliques, that mafia mentality about I know you, you know me, that kind of thing. Whereas women, we value things like excellence. We value delivery. We are the ones that will make sure the attention to detail is there. So that time of valuing merit and excellence and value is coming. You can feel it. You can see it happening as we speak. So Pabwa is about being able to drive that agenda, that the time for valuing value, valuing excellence and valuing merit, the days of the boys' clubs and those kind of things have to come to an end. That's where we have, very gently for now positioned ourselves as we take on the next 6 months that is ahead of us.
Well, you clearly did not anticipate what was going to happen in 2020 after you launched. I mean, you'd no sooner launched when I met you, and no sooner after I met you, we went into lockdown. But the fact that you are in the digital space, you positioned so well in terms of your business and able to still carry your message across the continent and into the right or into the ears of the right people. So first of all, congratulations. Well done. Very courageous of you to do that. I think it sits beautifully alongside Women of Stature, because you're talking about, you have an economy agenda. And I think by rights, that is exactly what we need, is to align ourselves with an organization that is speaking around the economy. So building the economy, and obviously there's a skill that is needed to do that. And hopefully together, yourself and myself, my team, your team, we can actually put something really, really powerful in place, where we can take the two organizations and blend them beautifully, so that we can be teaching the women that are in our network the skill of how to build their economy. Because your personal economy is very important, and the contribution you're making as a woman in business is so powerful for the overall economy of the country and the continent. So you obviously, and I'm going to say this aloud now because I get a laugh when I do, but what I'm seeing here, and it really, really excites me, because in the men's world, there's a certain saying about men when they're in the boardroom, you know, men have, and they're, you know, in the boardroom. And I heard this wonderful saying, and hope you don't mind me sharing it now that I'm interviewing you, but they call it that men have what, and women have metal petals.
Yes, absolutely, right?
And that's exactly what women like you must have, because it takes a lot to stand up against, as you say, a system. So here we are. It's almost the middle of the month of August. It's Women's Month. We're obviously celebrating women. We're celebrating you as a woman. We're celebrating the fact that you're part of this wonderful collaboration. What is it about the writing of your story and being part of this that triggered your interest?
So I think let's start with you and Women of Stature. Is that it's you know, in terms of the work that you have done, and in terms of the goals that you have, and what your vision for Women of Stature is, you know, that's the first place I think anyone starts, is like, do you want to be a part of that, whatever that may be? And that is, you know, as I said earlier, I was very privileged and honored to be asked. So thank you once again. In terms of the actual book, I have been asked to write the cancer journey many times. And somewhere along the lines, I used to be a spokesperson for Estee Lauder, for Clinique. Um, my time from a cancer perspective and sharing the cancer journey just carried on for many years, even after remission. So I did start writing a book, actually, and I decided I didn't want to a few years back. It's been many years since cancer, but I decided I didn't want to. And the reason for that was because I just didn't want to keep on reliving it. I wanted to move on, not forgetting the past, but just, you know, moving on and moving on with my life, and using the value of it. And when you asked when you asked me to write the chapter, my initial thing was to go, obviously, career, and it's where my comfort level is, and, you know, from a women empowerment perspective, and it would have been such a, you know, it would have been just exactly that. And I decided to share the cancer journey because of the impact that it actually had on, you know, the career path that I have now gone on, and by default, and opened up other, you know, other things have been opened up, and other doors have been opened. And it just has had such an amazing impact. So cancer was, yes, the chapter is about cancer, but it's more about it as a catalyst in terms of, you know, where somebody is today and what that impact has been in terms of going forward. So you gave me the opportunity and the platform to revisit a time in my life that I didn't want to write about it at all. And years later, over a decade later, I sat down with myself and I was like, but that is very much a part of who I am. So I had to face a lot of things in writing the chapter. And this book, you know, you've put it together with such love and with such a good reason in terms of COVID and in terms of what's happening in the world, that I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted the story to align with some of the other amazing stories that you tell in the book. So this book is about, you know, ordinary women doing extraordinary and amazing extraordinary things and have lived extraordinary lives, and some of you are on here today, and just to be able to be a part of that sisterhood and to share that journey was a privilege and an honor. So if people don't get it, you know, we hear the same names over and over and over again in terms of what is out there. But here are, you know, some of us are there a little bit, not so much, etc., etc. So here's some new names, here's some fresh blood, so to speak. Here's some freshness. You've injected a whole lot of freshness in terms of inspiration into South Africa, into the world. So yeah, that people just have to go and read the book. My family were very excited, obviously, because it was a case of they know the story. It's not like they don't know the story, but they wanted to buy it just to be able to finally read my perspective on things.
So could we expect to see more of your written word in book form in the future? Has this then spurred you on? Could we now be affiliating ourselves with a future author of several books? Could you see that in your future?
I don't know about that in terms of the time, in terms of timing, but if one day it ever gets to that point, Charlotte, wherever you and I are in the world, I will make sure that you know that you were the one that basically lit the fire under me. So trust me, if that does happen, you were definitely the person who made me feel comfortable enough. I think it's permission. I think we all need permission. So when somebody says to you, write a chapter, you're like, really? Like, is it okay for me to write a chapter? Is it actually meaningful? Is it, you know? So I feel like that is, you gave us all permission to explore ourselves and allow ourselves to actually go there. I don't think many of us probably have done it unless you gave us that permission, kind of a thing. You know, trust us, women. Here we need that kind of stuff.
So before we finish up here today, one or two little questions I'd like to ask you. So besides having your family and working hard and running an organization, what do you do? What is your favorite pastime?
Oh, that's easy. I am so at some point in time also, I was meant to be a chef. I started studying at Christina Martin's culinary school way back when, but I decided I needed to party at the time because I was very young and I wasn't going to get up early hours of the morning. So the cooking bug, and my granny was a doyen of the culinary space. You know, so she passed on a lot of things to me. So I learned French cooking when I was like 8, 9 years old. So my husband is very fortunate because the harder day that I have, or the harder week that I have, the more elaborate the stuff that comes out of my kitchen.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
It's my form of therapy as well.
Oh my goodness! So we have possibly a recipe book coming from you one day. Who knows?
Yeah, actually, that could be an option.
There we go.
That's
There we
less,
go.
you know, less I have to go somewhere.
There we go. There we go.
Yes.
So you never know what might come out of it. So, Yavi, we are obviously sitting right in the midst of a pandemic, a global pandemic, and it's obviously had, you know, a terrible effect on the world, on the world economy, on you know, people within each of the countries. But within South Africa, obviously, we're still sitting with levels that we in stage this and stage that and stage that. What would be the one thing that you would want to leave with the ladies that are listening in now? And obviously, we're going to be sharing this recording. What would you say is the one thing that you would want to help them to overcome in a time like this, and to be able to step up and rise up and move forward?
It's very simple. Thank you for the question. I love it. The one thing that we need to find within ourselves and to understand is that our time, when I say our time is now, it sounds like a t-shirt, you know, the t-shirt that's going around, but because of the way the world is going to look in the next couple of years, so the next 2 to 5 years, women have an opportunity like never before in order to be able to leapfrog, close the gaps that have kept us behind, you know, the gaps that have made us less, in inverted commas. So we now have the opportunity to be, you know, so for example, and it's a quick one, is that, you know, some women, professional women, would have had to leave their careers and their executive jobs to go and have kids, because it's the way the world, you know, worked. We couldn't do everything. We couldn't be at the office. We wanted to spend time with our kids, etc., etc. Look at it now. Work from home is going to become, you know, almost a standard. Some people will go back because they have to. The world works differently. But all of a sudden, those professional women have capacity, access, and the ability to be able to be flexible and have access to their careers that they never had before. So that's just one example. I can go into many, but there's another time and place for that. But the point I'm trying to make is that the one message that I do want to be able to say to all women, because it's what I find with my business partners, my associates who are all women. I have very few men, in terms of, I live what I say. So I live what I preach in terms of the sisterhood. So even in business, that is my preference, is to do business with women and drive a feminist economy and pay other women. And I want other women to pay me. So the one thing that I find that women don't do is that they are afraid of technology, and they are afraid of skilling themselves, upskilling, reskilling themselves in technology. If you don't, you are going to get left behind. It doesn't matter how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter how professional you are. It doesn't matter how many titles you have. If you do not have a great, and it doesn't have to be advanced, but it does need to be a good grasp of technology, the digital and online world, your career, your ability to engage, your ability to put yourself out there is going to be limited. So the one message that I have to all women, find it, figure it out. There are millions of YouTube videos to figure things out. There's information. You can always send me a question on social media. I'm a social media queen. So the point I'm trying to make is that women are afraid sometimes about the technology and digital and online world. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your stature and your status. I always say I'm a dirty little secret sometimes, because lots of CEOs and MDs get me to kind of give them little hints and tips before we go into very formal official meetings. And they'll be like, Yavi, don't you want to come like half an hour early? I need to ask you a couple of things. And that is the nature of the way the world is going to work. So please, please find a way to reskill, upskill, learn, and engage in the digital and online world. You will never be sorry, ever, ever, I promise.
Very wise words, and I can actually echo that, because you know, when lockdown happened and suddenly I couldn't meet with my members on you know, under normal circumstances, and suddenly my entire business was reliant on online communication and online networking, and I had to pivot very quickly. And I keep saying this because I am living proof of it, is that you can still teach an old dog new tricks, because you know, I didn't grow up in a generation where technology was part and parcel of your school education. We didn't become educated in technology during my generation. So Well, we almost at the end of our interview with you, and I just see that we still have some ladies online with us. I just wanted to obviously open up the lines and ask any of the ladies if they had anything that they wanted to ask you, if they wanted to share anything with you, Yavi, or just have a general little chat with us for the last 5 minutes. Is there anybody that would like to come online with us? You can unmute yourself and unvideo yourself. Namila, I see that you're online with us. Would you like to have a word? Let's see if Namila's going to come online with us. Okay. All right.
Hi, Charlotte.
There we go. Hi, Namila. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. What a lovely interview. Hi, Yavi. It's so great and so inspiring listening to you. And I just want to say very wise words. I echo Charlotte's sentiments. And yes, I do believe that women need to really be more active in your space specifically. And there's a lot of room for improvement. And absolutely, my opinion is also I resonate totally with the fact that women, the time is so opportune right now. And yes, I think with the with wonderful mentors and guides such as yourself around, it's probably going to be far more conducive now, even for those that are totally clueless, to come in and be a part of organizations such as you have, and just have that support in place, and that hand holding which they need to give them exactly what for the equipment and the tools to enable them to sustainability. So well done.
Thank you, Namela. Lovely to have you with us. Is there anybody else that would like to have a little chat with our guest today, Yavi? Any questions anybody has for her? So Yavi, the one thing that I just wanted to clarify with you, you obviously have a very close relationship with DM, Deputy Minister Pinky Kakana, who was, obviously introduced to me and part of our awards, and that's how I got to know you. So are you doing all of her digital marketing? Are you helping her with something like that?
No.
Not? Okay.
No. She's our patron from a Pan-African Businesswomen's Association perspective. So she's got her own people that deal with her. You can imagine that people like that, people in leadership and in the public eye, their stuff has got to be managed very, very tightly. So I obviously do give advice in terms of the technical side and all the different things that can go into it. But yeah, no, she does have somebody that does it for her. We spend a lot of time together. I mean, we're all from a businesswoman's perspective and from a Pabua perspective, we spend a lot of time talking about this stuff. So yeah, but she always says to me, I don't know about these things, and I know enough to get me by, and then afterwards I don't want to know about it.
Well, I must just tell you, when I met Yavi the day that Pinky arrived at the venue for the awards, the other skill that you have is what you applied on that day, and that was her makeup, and you did it beautifully. So, well, Yavi, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you better, and getting to know the woman behind the name, because I guess, we all meet one another, and we'll have a very polite, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. But you very seldom sit and really get to know the person deeply inside of that image that we have. And what I'm finding in particular with the book and interviewing the ladies daily, and Marta Marie, you've been very, very, committed to being online with us every day, getting to know her fellow authors. And this is the beauty of it, is how we actually, I'm really getting to know you so much better through the book. So it's just been a wonderful way to actually connect and get to grow the network of women within my personal space. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for those that could make it to join us today. I know that our schedules are extremely busy, and we obviously have, you know, so much on our plate at the moment, and there's so many things going on. But before we sign off, I just wanted to extend and again inform you about our upcoming summit, which is on Friday afternoon and Saturday afternoon, where we've also got a wonderful program lined up. We've got some nice fitness activities. We've got wonderful coaches that are going to be online with us. So you're not only going to be sitting and listening to somebody talking all the time. We actually have the most beautiful couple that are dancers, and they also had to pivot their business, and they do online dancing now, and they do online dance fitness now. So they're actually going to be part of the program over the 2 afternoons. So please tell your friends to come online with us. It's going to be transformational, it's going to be spiritual, it's going to be energizing, and it's going to be literally stepping up. And by the end of the 2 days, I'm sure that a lot of these women are going to be, first of all, getting themselves skilled in technology and all the other wonderful things that we want to encourage them to do. So thank you so much, Yavi. The recording, as I say, will go out tomorrow. Today I put out yesterday's, and tomorrow I put out today's. So I'll send you the link as well, Yavi, so that you can also share it with your network. So yes, ladies, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much for coming online with us. And
can I ask a favor?
Sure.
Social media works great when you it's like anything else, it works great with inclusivity. So if I can ask, it's because when my guys were putting it up, they were battling to figure out who was who, because I didn't know, you know, everyone's faces, so to speak. Is there any way that you can send me, even if it's via WhatsApp, just your handles? So obviously I know Women of Stature, we've tagged, but it would be great for me to be able, when you put out the video, then I will tag everyone, you know, all the other ladies that are in the book as well, so that what it happens is it creates kind of, you know, a wave, for lack of a better term. Okay. So it makes it that, it gives it that much more reach in terms of when we are all tagging each other. It allows you to be able to push the agenda a little bit more.
No, absolutely. I shall do that. I'll make sure that I give you them all their details as well. No, thank you for that advice, because we obviously want this to go viral.
Yes, it must. It definitely must go viral. And what I will do is, over the next couple of weeks, when does your last interview finish?
The 30th.
So over the next couple of days and weeks until the end of August, I will just keep on, you know, kind of putting it out there in some shape or form. So as long as I have those tags, I'll just keep on reminding people in terms of, you know, go out and buy the book, etc., etc. And we'll find different ways of being able to put it out there. So I will help. I just need to have those handles, and we will definitely help.
Okay, now thank you very much. And then of course we are busy preparing ourselves for the printing of the book as well. So just so that you know, I've already got Jan Keller that's helping me to source all the necessary resources so that we can get the book printed. And I would like to have the book printed by November, so that it's ready for Christmas time. And then we're going to have an event, a physical event, not an online event, in November, which will be our year-end function, and it'll be combined with the launch of the book, and obviously have all the contributors there as our guests, and make a big occasion of that as well. All right. So
perfect. Wonderful. I look forward to meeting all of you in person, and hopefully by that stage we'll be able to give each other a hug.
Yeah, we hope so, most definitely. Thank you, Yavi. All the best.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Be well.
Thank you, ladies.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.